I want to start with a story today from the Bhagavatam, and this is a story I'd heard about 2 years back, and I loved the story. I always wanted to share with you. I didn't know I'll be doing it today, but okay. There's always a time that Baba knows is the best time for everything. At the end of today's talk, I'm sure we will all be overflowing with Baba's blessings and presence and understanding. A better understanding of why we are in this world today, why Baba has chosen us today as his, and why we have been blessed that he belongs to us. I'll take you through that. So the story is about Narad Muni, and like I said, it's from the Bhagavatam. So what happens once is that Narad Muni goes to Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi for a meal, and they really look after him. He's a Brahma Rishi, he's looked after, he's served, he's fed very well, and then they offer their obeisances and pranams, and Narad Muni leaves from there. Now when he leaves, Vishnuji says to Lakshmi, Lakshmi, the place where Narada was sitting, please take cow dung and purify it, sanctify it. So Lakshmi ji does exactly as she's told by her husband. Narad Muni has not left yet, he's still outside. He's really shocked to see that they're cleaning the space where he sat down, So he comes right back inside and says, Vishnuji, you served me, you fed me, you look after me so much, and now you're cleaning that place using cow dung. Cow dung is only used when there is something, a dirty energy or something negative in a place. Why are you cleansing the place where I sat down? And Vishnuji says that with due respect to you, Narada, I have nothing against you and you're a very pure soul. But a person who does not have a guru is not considered complete and pure. Since you don't have a guru, you have not taken a guru diksha, I have no option but to cleanse the place. Narada is really sad when he hears that. He says, oh my God, I did not even know that. I really want a guru. I mean, I didn't know that this is my condition being Brahma's son. Nobody respects me, reveres me as much as they should because I don't have a guru. Please find me a guru, Vishnuji. You only tell me how should I find a guru. To which Vishnuji says, okay, do one thing. Go to the earth now, and the first person you meet, that will be your guru, and that person will guide you further. And Narada is grateful to Vishnuji, and he says, okay, and I promise you that I'll completely respect, revere and love the person that I meet now. I'm going to the earth and I'm looking forward to meeting my guru. On that he says, Narayan, Narayan, and he comes down to the earth. Pardon me, I'm a little breathless because of my energies. I have to break in between to talk. I'm not feeling best right now, so just be with me on this. So Narada comes to the earth, and when he's there, when he steps down, the first person he sees walking towards him is an old fisherman with a net on his shoulder, a very old, poor fisherman. Narada is really shocked and he says, Guru, this person is going to be my guru. Did I hear Vishnuji right? Vishnuji asked me to make this person my guru. Anyhow, he walks up to the fisherman and he says that, oh fisherman, my Vishnuji has sent me here, and I've been told that you are my guru and you will lead me further. So the fisherman says, I'm an old poor fisherman. You are a Brahma Rishi. You've come to me and you want to take Guru Diksha. What do you want to learn from me? What can I give to you? When he says that, Narada is even more confused that what will he teach me? He doesn't know much. He says, please wait, I'm coming back. And then he goes back to Vishnuji and then he says, Vishnuji, you told me the first person I meet has to be my guru, but the person I met is not worthy of it, I think, because he's an old fisherman. I'm Brahma's son. I have been traveling the three lokas, and I have the knowledge, the wisdom, the meditative practices which have made me so wise and learned. So you want me to go to a fisherman who's unworthy and learn from him? What will he teach me? At this, Vishnuji is furious. He is so angry. He said, I told you, go to the earth and make the first person you meet your guru, and look what you have done. You have come back and used wrong words, inappropriate words for the person, and considered yourself more worthy because you have been to the Trilokas and you're learned, and saying, what will he teach you? I cannot forgive this. This is a sin and I'm going to curse you. At this, Vishnuji curses him, and Vishnuji says, I curse you that you will have to walk through 84 lakh forms before you can resume to be your normal self again. So you would all know that there is, we say, 84 lakh yoniya in Hindi, which means there are 84 lakh forms in which we can exist, not just as human beings, but as various forms of existence, animals, insects, and otherwise. So he says you have to walk your journey through all 84 lakhs before you can get back to being yourself, and your strength, your energies will only come back to you as Narad Muni when you do that. Narada is so sad. He cries in Vishnuji's feet and says, save me, don't do this to me. You know, it'll take me how many years and years and years endlessly to go through 84 lakh forms. Please bless me and forgive me. I've made a mistake, forgive me. At which Vishnuji says, no, I cannot do anything for you, but if you really need help, go to your guru. Ask him, maybe he will show you a way out. So Narada comes to the earth and goes to the guru and says to him, tells him everything that has happened, seeks his forgiveness and says, I'm sorry, I told Vishnuji that you cannot teach me anything, that you will not have the knowledge or the wisdom to do it, but I seek your forgiveness, please help me now, you're my only hope. So what happens is, the fisherman says, since Vishnuji has sent you to me, there must be a reason, just repeat what was the curse. He says, Vishnuji has said, you'll have to walk your journey through 84 lakh forms before you can get back to your normal self. He says, perfect. Go to Vishnuji and say, please draw 84 lakh forms on Mother Earth. I will walk through them and my journey will be complete. Narada is very surprised. He thinks, how is this possible? But now he has to respect the Guru's word. He goes back to Vishnuji and says, Vishnuji, my Guru has said that if you can sketch the 84 lakh forms on the earth, I'll walk through them and I'll come back to you, and that will complete my curse, and I'll atone for my sin. And Vishnuji smiles. He says, see, this is what happens. The person that you considered was not worthy of teaching you, guiding you, holding your hand, has today saved you from such a big curse. Saying that, Vishnuji sketches the 84 lakh forms. Narada walks over them, and then after walking, he comes back, apologizes, and seeks blessings from Vishnuji and says that please guide me. I never had a guru, so I didn't know how it is to have a guru. Please forgive me for my mistake. And then Vishnuji says to him that only those that God himself chooses get a guru. Everybody does not get a guru. Everybody is not so blessed. Only those that God wants to guide, wants to help, wants to move ahead in their spiritual journey get a guru. And he says you don't have to feel guilty or bad. This is the difference between a guru and a shishya. A guru will only love, will only give unconditionally, but the shishya is unaware. So he considers worth or not worthy, considers wisdom or not wise. He has his beliefs because he's still learning. So you on your journey are learning. Why are you feeling bad about it? It's perfectly okay. This is your learning and this is your lesson which you had to go through. Just remember that love your guru and you're blessed that you have one. Don't judge your guru by his clothes, by his attire, by his age, by his literacy. Just know if he's your guru, he's been sent to you for a reason. And when I heard this story, I immediately thought of Baba. And I thought of how in Baba's Satcharita there are so many stories of, there is a story of how Somadev Swami goes to Baba at Shirdi, and when he sees those flags flying high on the masjid, he thinks, oh my God, this man is not worth worshipping or revering, you know. I don't like such sadhus with pom-poms, he says. He carries all this paraphernalia and he has a rath and a palanquin. He judges Baba based on the flags on the masjid. But when he meets Baba, he understands the depth. He understands how beautiful Baba is. He wants to merge in Baba's feet. He wants to roll in the dust of Baba's feet. But by then, Baba is upset with him because he has thought incorrectly. So also Jawahar Ali, who comes to Baba, he thinks Baba is my shishya, and Baba so beautifully does everything for him, loves him, respects him. Those are the qualities of a saint. Those are the qualities of wisdom actually. So my message to you today is that if in this Kali Yuga you and I have a guru, we are really, really blessed, because everybody does not get a guru. Everybody does not get a guru. To have a guru in this life is a huge, huge blessing, is a huge grace, and we must value it. I'm so sorry, there is somebody at my door which I can't open. Obviously, I'm here live with you, so you're going to keep hearing the doorbell. I apologize for that disturbance. I don't know on the corona times who's coming and ringing my doorbell. It normally doesn't ring. So that was the first thing that I wanted to share. Now comes the main reason for the story, why I shared the story with you. And before I go ahead, Narad has a beautiful doha that he sings out to Vishnu at that time. I hope I can recollect, otherwise I have it on a paper. He says, Guru gunge Guru bavare, Guru ke rahiyo das, Guru jo bheje narak ko, swarag ki rakhiyo aas. Which means, if your guru is dumb, if he's Guru gunge, he can't speak, he's dumb. Guru bavare, if he's mad. Guru ki, I am so sorry, I don't know what's happening, pardon this. Guru ke rahiyo das, it means stay the das, the sevak of your guru in every condition, whether he is dumb or deaf or mad. Now comes the more important line which he sings, which Narad Muni sings. Guru jo bheje narak ko, swarg ki rakhiyo aas. If your guru says, I'm sending you to hell, remember there's going to be heaven on the other side, because it may look like hell to you in the human form. You may think this is not the right path, there is something wrong to it, but eventually there is going to be only and only and only good for you, only light for you, only happiness for you, only swarg, which is only heaven for you. So this is the way to love the guru. And now coming back to the message. Why do we get a guru in this life? Everybody tells you it's nice to have a guru. The guru leads you from darkness to light. The guru is here to bless you, guide you, love you, hold you during difficult times. This and all we know. But why does a guru suddenly appear before us, whether in the human form or as Baba is now in his spiritual form? Why does a guru come to us? Let me tell you this, which is such a beautiful thing that Baba has taught me. A guru comes to us when the time for our cleansing comes. A guru comes to us when time for our spiritual journey comes. A guru comes to us when the time for my soul to evolve comes. A guru will not come to you otherwise. When you are not ready and not prepared, you will not even be connected to the guru. The guru only comes when the cleansing time comes. I remember I had recorded a video a long time back where I said that when I met Baba, he made my world go topsy-turvy. He pulled the earth from beneath my feet and everything became so difficult and so challenging. There were tests and tests. I thought Baba was putting me through the test. I didn't realize the tests were coming, and so he had come. He knew that my testing times are coming, and he came right in time to hold me and be there with me. This is why a guru comes to our life. So if you have a guru, remember, if the guru has come and embraced you in your life, it is because your challenges are coming, because your tests are coming. So talking about tests, talking about challenges, what happens is when we go through our difficult times, there is a beautiful story that I'd like to share here. I'm sure you've all heard of this also. It's a very sweet little narrative that there is a person who's walking on the beach and walking with God on the beach, walking with Baba on the beach. And then this person asks Baba that, Baba, when I look back and see there are two pairs of footsteps there on the sand, but whenever the times are very difficult, I only see one pair of footsteps. Is it that you leave me during that time so that I can learn through my challenges alone? And Baba smiles and says, no, my child, those are the times when I'm carrying you in my arms so that it doesn't hurt you, so the hot sand doesn't hurt you. So this is what I was trying to say. The guru comes in our life when it is time for the guru to hold us through our journey. Baba has said in the Satcharita very beautifully that just like a mother gives us bitter pills, you know, okay, this is my question to all of you actually. If your child is, God forbid, unwell, and you know that the medicine that you have to give to your child is very, very bitter, very bitter. The child will not be able to bear the bitterness. Will you, as a parent, give it to your child or not? I want to see yes or no on the screen, and I'll get some time to breathe. Will you give that medicine, or will you let your child stay unwell? What will be your choice? I'm waiting. Yes says in yes what? You'll give the medicine, yes? However bitter it is? Yes. Yes. Okay. So you will give the bitter medicine to your child despite knowing that the child will hate it, will not be able to tolerate it or bear it. The same is the case with us. When we're going through our spiritual cleansing, Baba has to give us the bitter medicine to cleanse us. You see, in life, there is a very beautiful thing which I'll share with you. It was not related, but let me bring it in here. So we say that when we come on our soul's journey, I'm walking the path. This is my life. This is my life's journey. And in this journey, I have to reach certain places. Now, what are those places? One, I must achieve the purpose of my life. I must achieve the reason why I was born. That purpose has to be achieved. Second, I must be able to get self-realization. And third, merge into my Guru. Please understand the path of life. Everybody, each of us has a soul plan. I'm walking on my path to reach my soul plan. The soul chose a plan before it was born. I have to fulfill that plan. When I fulfill it, I will get to self-realization, and then I will merge in my God. That's the path of life. To take us on this path, we are given two types of supports. One is called a soul support. Soul support are those souls who have chosen before we were born that if you go through, if you are going through challenges and forgetting or deviating from your life path, we will be there to bring you back. These are people who love you, your family members, your parents, your teachers, your guides, your friends, who will always counsel you, talk to you, and with lots of love bring you back when you are falling, pick you up when you're falling, bring you back when you are deviating from your life plan. Now comes the second type of people. I'm walking. Here is one type, which is the soul support. Here is the other one, which is called karmic teachers. Who are karmic teachers? Karmic teachers are those people, please hear me carefully, this is going to help you, are those people who have come into your life to teach you lessons through tears, through fears, through fights, through trauma. These are people you hate in your life. You think these are people who are always causing me pain, causing me trouble, I don't like them. But actually those are beautiful souls who have come to help you go through your karma and live it, cleanse it. So they are not bad people. They are only karmic teachers who have chosen to be your supports actually by helping you, by putting you through difficult times. Now comes my message. Who is Baba? Baba is soul support. Baba is karmic teacher, and Baba is the one who's holding me in his arms and walking through. All three Baba is there. That is what a Guru is. A Guru is a person who nudges you with love and says, listen to me, I'm guiding you, this is the wrong way, get to the right path. Then he talks to you softly from inside, which majority of us don't listen because we are so lost in the outer world that we don't listen. But that voice which is always there for us, our soul support, is him, is our Guru. And then when we don't listen, then he picks up the brick and hurls at us and throws, and then it hurts. Then I scream in pain and say, Baba, it's hurting. But what is he doing? He's still bringing me back on my life path so that I may be cleansed, to merge into him eventually. This is what he's doing. And all through this, what is he doing? He's still walking with me on that path, leading me on to my purpose. That is a Guru. That is why a Guru comes into our life to, he comes to embrace us on every side so that we may reach our destination. Have you ever thought how blessed we are? Naradji, of all the people, Brahma Rishi Narad, Brahma's son, did not have a Guru for such a long time. We have him, our Guru, our God, our Baba, our everything with us at every single minute. This is our greatest blessing. This is the greatest blessing that any human being can get in this life. And we should listen to him. We should express gratitude to him for his presence and start listening to his messages. Why get the brick hurled at us when we can get the messages with love and with softness? Okay, I'm getting one more story and I must share with you. I have no track of time, but I can't see the time as well. Let me try if I can. Lovely, I have lots of time. One more story. So what happened what happened once is, this is to explain to you about what I'm talking. Let me not tell you what happens is, there is a man who has a farm, and his father is dying, and at the last moment of his death he hands over to the son, this farmer who's the owner of the beautiful barn and the farmhouse. He hands over a gold watch to him, and he says, child, this watch was given by your great great grandfather to the great grandfather, from him to the grandfather, from him to the father, and now to you. So this is like a legacy. This is like very precious to us. We believe that anyone who holds this watch, time will be in your favor. Keep it safe, treasure it, and keep it as yours. The child, the son, who's a grown-up man of course, takes the watch, keeps it safe, and thanks his father. Meanwhile, the father passes on. He can't find the watch. He looks everywhere and he can't find it, and he's so upset. Can you see me? Yes, I think yes, something happened. So what happens is, he's looking for the watch, and then somebody tells him, why don't you call the wise men from the village and they will help you. So he says okay, and he calls the wise men from the village, and they come there and they start looking for the watch also. Everybody searches everywhere and nobody can find it. He says, I'll give you 10 gold guineas, which means 10 gold coins, find it for me. Still everybody tries, they can't find it. Disappointed, people leave there, they don't get the gold guineas. When this farmer is leaving the barn, there is a small boy standing outside. He says to the farmer, dear farmer, sir, may I find the watch for you? He says, child, there have been 10 grown-up wise men from the village who couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. How will you find it? He says, sir, give me exactly 5 minutes. If I don't get it, I will leave. If I get it, you give me the 10 guineas. He says, I will give you 20 guineas. Go right inside. Less than 5 minutes, little boy comes back and there is a gold watch in his hand. The farmer is astounded and he says, where did you find it? How did you find it? He says, nothing, sir. I just closed all the doors, sat down with my eyes closed in silence, and I heard the ticking of the watch. Tick tock, tick tock. I just walked there, picked it up and brought it outside. This is exactly what happens in the journey of life. We are so involved in the outer noises, the outer sounds of the material world, that we forget to sit in silence. We forget to connect with our Guru in silence. The Guru is always there as the sole support, nudging us, counseling us, teaching us, guiding us from inside. But we don't do that. We hear the outer noises more than the inner sounds. And when we don't hear it, then he comes as the karmic teacher with the brick. And then there is pain and suffering to learn our lessons and go through our experiences. So is it not better that we learn with love and with peace rather than with suffering? Start meditating. I really want you to know that in the Satcharath also Baba says that Dhyan is so important. Dhyan is so important. If you are not meditating, please start now. 10 minutes every day, 15 minutes every day, whatever time you can take out. Just close your eyes and just connect with him. Don't worry about the processes of meditation. Don't worry about the thoughts that are coming. Just say Sai Sai and say, Baba, I want to merge in you. I want to go deeper inside and merge in him. Spend some time with Baba. Listen to this silence and you will find there is so much treasure lying in there. I am tired. I was not having any strength. I still have so much to share. Are you all loving it? Some hearts and some yes, and I will go on. I am so glad, understanding every word of it. Yes. Are you feeling blessed that Baba has chosen you in this life? Do you know how many people out there don't have a Guru? Do you realize it? And don't, yes, I forgot one important message. Don't add so much of pressure and burden on the word Guru. So many of you write letters and mails to me saying, how do I choose a Guru? How do I know who's the right Guru? How do I know, is this the person that God has chosen for me? There is so much of trauma in your head about who's a Guru. I must quote something from the Bhagavatam to you again. Srimad Bhagavatam has a beautiful verse which is shared by Lord Dattatreya, and he says this to King Yadu. Yes, I remember this. King Yadu is the king, and Lord Dattatreya, of course, you know, Baba is an incarnation of Lord Dattatreya, we believe. Lord Dattatreya is speaking to King Yadu, and he says to him, King Yadu asks him, who is your Guru? And Lord Dattatreya says, I have 24 Gurus. And he says, 24 Gurus? I thought one should have only one Guru. And your guru chooses you, you're saying 24, he smiles. He says, see, from the small moth that flies around to the vast endless ocean, everyone is my guru. See the depth of it. So in your life, anyone who comes there and teaches you something, who holds your hand, who walks the journey with you, who guides you, who nourishes your mind and your heart, that person is a guide. Guru, don't make it a heavy word and panic about the Kali Yuga and think, oh God, can this person be a guru? This person, like Baba, flies a flag. This person is wearing a bindi, can they be a guru? This person is not wearing a white dress, can they be a guru? Arey, guru is simple. Anyone you can love and respect, guru. That's all it is. And we have our Sadguru anyway, so we don't have to worry about it. And I'm blessed that you think Didi is your guru, so I'm very, very blessed about it. More than blessed, And don't worry about these little things. Don't attach worldly, material importance to little things of life which can be simplified. Let everyone be your teacher. Anyone and anything you learn something from. What is a guru? A guru is someone who dispels darkness, we know that, who takes us to light. Very simple, right? Anyone who's bringing light to you, who's taking away the ignorance, respect that person. And all you have to do is there should be gratitude and reverence, gratitude and respect for that person. Now we say Baba is in everybody, so there is gratitude, reverence and respect for everybody. So then when that is there for everybody, then the guru is in everybody, right? So don't worry so much about it. Okay, now moving to the next part of my message. Little more and then I will read your comments because I'm getting very, very tired now. So I'm sorry, tired because of the energy that I've been in, but okay. All right. So I want to talk to you about 2-3 beautiful things. I'll start by sharing with you that when I was first called a guru, I was very young, very, very, very young, okay? I had not even touched my 40s when the first person wanted to touch my feet and take my blessings. I was not prepared for it. I was not sure what is a guru like, what is expected of me. Happened very young in my life. At that time, God sent a very beautiful soul, a Shishya to me. And he said, okay, here is somebody who will teach you how to be a guru. I have to mention her name today, not only for gratitude, but because my message relates to that. I'm sure more than half of you know who I'm referring to. I am referring to Lakshmi, of course. When I first met her and when she took me as a guru, the reverence, the love, the respect, the care, the way she was as a Shishya to me actually taught me what a guru is supposed to be. I really did not know it till that time. I learned how to be a guru because I had a beautiful Shishya. And after that, I got all of you and I learned how to be a guru because you have loved me so much. You have loved me so much. So that is why I'm a guru today. My message. Lakshmi used to always write 2 words for me. And surprisingly enough today, just before I logged into this live, I saw she's written a message on Facebook for me. There are 2 words you will see on her message. As always, the last 2 words. She says, Nanya Charanyam Mamaha. My message today actually is about what are these 2 words and what do they mean. Nanya Charanyam Mamaha. These 2 words are actually from Baba's Arati. They're from Baba's Arati. And Nanya Charanyam Mamaha. Your feet are my solace. Your feet are my place. Your feet are mine, Baba. Nanya Charanyam Mamaha, your feet are my place and I surrender to them completely. I bow myself in reverence to them completely. That is the term Nanya Charanyam Mamaha. To understand this better, to understand what is expected of us as Shishyas when we talk about our Guru, let me tell you, chapter 39 of the Sai Satcharita, a very beautiful, one of my favorite chapters. There is a beautiful shloka there which Baba explains to Nana Sahib Chandorkar. The shloka goes, Tadvidhi prani praten pariprashnena Tadvidhi prani praten pariprashnena sevaya. I think I'm tired. I say the shloka every day. Come on. Somebody help me, prompt me. What is the shloka? Tadvidhi prani praten pariprashnena sevaya updekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So Baba says that you have to surrender yourself completely body, mind and wealth in the feet of your Guru. That's exactly what is written in the Satcharita. Pariprashna, he says, ask the right questions, respect and love your Guru, and offer all that you have into your Guru's feet. All that you have into your Guru's feet, because he is the only one who will lead you on from darkness to light. Same chapter says that you have to understand that each of us, you, me, each of us, yes, talking of complete surrender. I love the messages that are coming there for complete surrender. What is complete surrender is what I want to speak about. I've told you this many times, but to understand it again, Shraddha, Saburi, complete surrender, three important words of Baba. What is Shraddha? Shraddha is faith, we say. For me, Shraddha is not faith really. Faith comes later. For me, Shraddha is madness in my love for Baba. I love him so much, so much, so much that I trust him completely. You see, when you love somebody so deeply, trust happens. You don't have to bring trust into the relationship. When you love somebody in your life, you just believe in that person because you love that person. You don't have to ask yourself to believe in that person. So when we say, Baba, I trust you, but things are not getting better. Baba, I trust you, but why is life so difficult? Baba, I trust you, but why is it taking so long? When there are buts and whys in that, then where is the trust? For trust, there is one simple remedy. Just love him. Just love him. When you love him so much, there is no question of trust not being there. When you love him, you will believe that your Guru is with you through everything. And chapter 39 says the same thing, that the Shishya is also Shuddha Chaitanya, which means you are not an ignorant jiva, you're not a person who is in darkness, you're not a person who is not enlightened. It is just that your karmas, your conditioning has put a cloud around you. Then comes the Guru who is Shuddha Chaitanya, who is aware, and who is Aishwarya Aishwarya, he's in the Aishwarya Yoga, which means he's aware, he's in the light, we are in the dark. Then he comes and all he does is cleanses away that darkness and light emerges. He's not teaching me something I don't know. He's not giving me anything that is not mine, because God is inside me. Everything is inside me. All he's doing is he's just cleansing out that cloud, and then there is light, and then there is light. So complete surrender, when I talk about it, is when you can give everything that you have to your Guru. Everything. And that takes me back to Lakshmi's two words, Nanya Charanya Mamaha, that Baba, I surrender my all, body, mind, soul, health, wealth, peace, everything that I am, my breath, I surrender it in your feet with faith that whatever you give me will be for my good. You have to trust that whatever he's giving you is for your good. There is nothing bad, nothing bad. On the worst day also believe that if it's coming to you through your Guru, it is for your good. Remember the two words and offer them to Baba. We are living in a world which is a world of Maya, which is a world of delusion. I had shared with you in my last message also that Baba gave me a beautiful vision of, in my meditations, of I saw what I could not take in. I explained that to you. I saw how each of us is inside a jal of Maya. It's actually around us, and we are living in our own individual worlds of Maya. It is like each of us is in a shell bound by Maya. What is the Guru doing? The Guru has come to softly nudge you and cleanse away the Maya. Sometimes be harsh on you and cleanse away the Maya, because eventually, ultimately, we have to go over this illusion, this Maya Jal, and merge into God. Satcharita talks about Brahmagyan. What is Brahmagyan? It is about getting rid of that Maya Jal and merging in my Guru, in my God, in my Baba. For that, I need to walk with my Guru and trust my Guru. I need to trust that if pain comes to me, it comes for a reason. If problems come to me, they come for a reason. And bow my head in reverence for whatever comes. I can't be grateful on happy days and be ungrateful on sad days. I have to be grateful on every single day. Whether it is a happy day of my life or it is a sad day of my life, I have to be in gratitude. If it is a happy day, He's blessing me. If it is a sad and difficult, challenging day, He's blessing me even more. Are you getting that? My God, look at the amount I have spoken on a day when I was not supposed to speak. I love this. How's it going? Shraddha and Saburi. What is Saburi? Tell me, somebody. I'm waiting. What is Saburi? Let me read your answers. What is Saburi? Beautiful messages. Thank you. Compliment me later. I love you too. First, tell me what is Saburi. Patience. Explain more. Patience. That I also know. What is patience? What is patience? Attitude you have in waiting. What is the attitude in waiting? No, tell me more than patience. I know patience. Perseverance, I know. Good, not questioning him, having faith in him. Okay. Patience. Nobody is explaining. Saburi means what? Baba, I have kept Saburi. I know you will do what I want you to do. Explain that term to me. What does it mean? Waiting for things to happen. Okay. Saburi is be patient with love. Whatever is coming my way is with the will of my Guru. Beautiful. Having faith in your Guru, surrendering. You're all geniuses. No, I don't even need to speak here. Very good. Being positive while waiting. Saburi means waiting for something with patience. Okay. Saburi means waiting for something with patience. Wait for whatever is to come your way. Now, my message to you to add to the Shraddha and the Saburi bit is, what happens is, what I have observed is, yes, Saburi is needed when you have faith, being a state in waiting. Okay. So what I want to explain here to you is, when you are waiting for your Guru to give you something, a lot of you, mind you, whatever you're writing here, immaterial of that, when I get your messages on my window through the team, what do you write to me? Didi, why is Baba not listening? It has been so long. I have kept so much Saburi. Then why is he not listening? Didi, I have been keeping patience, but why is it taking so long? Didi, you say, Baba says, if you keep Saburi, he will listen to us. I have kept Saburi, he is not listening. There is always I have kept Saburi, I have been patient. What Baba says is, when you wait for something to happen, you're waiting. Slowly what happens is, in that waiting, impatience starts seeping in. Slowly, you don't even know it happens subtly. You keep telling Baba, I'm waiting patiently, but it's not happening. Inside somewhere you start getting impatient. It may be the health of a dear one. It may be a work or a business that is stalled. It may be a problem you're facing, a challenge in a relationship which is not getting better. When it does not happen as expected by you, you start getting impatient in the patience. So what should we do? We should stop waiting. Absolutely. That word waiting, which is running on my screen along with patience and Saburi, is a problem. Saburi is not about waiting patiently. Saburi is about not waiting. Saburi is, I again leave everything and offer it in your feet, my Baba. Whenever you think is the best time, let it happen. If you think it should not happen, let that be so also. I'm fine with it. That is Saburi. So remember, when you write on my window saying Saburi is about waiting with patience, take away the word waiting from Saburi. Saburi has nothing to do with wait. Saburi has to do with surrender. It has to have faith in Baba. Whatever you do for me will be for my good. And now I have one more beautiful thing before I wind up to share with you, which is a shloka which I'm sure you have all heard. This is the verse or shloka 28 from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Everybody will know it, but I want to give you a different connotation of this. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You all know that. So the shloka says, from falsehood lead me to truth. Asatoma Sadgamaya. From falsehood lead me to Sad, truth, Satya, truth. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. From darkness lead me to light. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. From death lead me on to immortality. I want you to understand today, this is a prayer from the Upanishad which does not directly say, oh my Guru, listen to me. But this prayer is actually a Shishya speaking to the Guru and saying to the Guru, oh my Guru, do these things for me. What are these three things that we talk about? This is exactly what was my entire 1 hour message to you today. We come to the earth for a reason and a purpose. We walk our journeys with that reason and purpose. Somewhere the problems and troubles of life pull us, push us and deviate us from our path. Then comes the Guru to hold us and take us ahead on our journey. When he takes us on that walk, on that path, there are thorns there, there is the hot burning sand there, but we have to walk over it because that is our karma, that is our learning, that is our experience which we must go through to be able to reach our life purpose and self-realization and merge in the Guru. So then we walk through that. So this entire journey of life is about cleansing ourselves of the external, of eliminating this Maya Jal that we are living in, this world of absolute illusion, and walking with Baba free of the illusion unto the truth. So when I say the shloka Asatoma Sadgamaya, it says, take me from falsehood to truth. What is falsehood? Falsehood here refers to Maya. That is falsehood. What else is falsehood here? You're living in a world thinking it is real, not knowing it is unreal. You're living in a world thinking this is my reality, this is my life, not knowing that this is not life. Life is far, far, far different from this. You live in relationships bound by them, not understanding that relationships are far beyond all of this. There is only one relationship. I've been saying this prayer of Baba to you people every talk, every meditation. I say it. रहम नजर करो अब मोरे साईं, तुम बिन नहीं मोहि माँ बाप भाई, खाली जमाना मैंने गवाया, खाली जमाना मैंने गवाया, साथी आखिर का किया न कोई, रहम नजर करो अब मोरे साईं, तुम बिन नहीं मोहि माँ बाप भाई. Understand this. You have come to this world alone to travel this path of Maya. You have come alone. You are alone. You think I'm not alone. You think my family, my friends, my child, my car, my house, my possessions, my relationships, my health, my wealth is all mine. Actually, there is only one that is yours. That's Him. You came with Him. You're walking with Him. You're going to merge in Him. This is the truth of life. You are blessed that in your life you have a Guru who has brought you to the world, who has walked with you through the world, and who's going to take you unto Himself. Understand that and start focusing more on the Guru and lesser on those bondages and material problems and attachments, and focus on that which is the only one where there is no bondage, there is only liberation. Every relationship, the Upanishads say that a relationship between two people is like that, like a stream, like two parallel streams. The streams think they will finally merge, but they don't. They are two streams on their individual path. And it describes beautifully that the relationship between a Guru and a Shishya is like, it says, like the Ganges flowing from the Akasha onto Shiva's tresses, onto his hair. So the Ganges is pouring onto Shiva, and then through Shiva it is pouring onto Mother Earth like showers and showers of grace. That is what a Guru-Shishya relationship is. The Guru is the showers of grace like Ganga flowing from Shiva unto us, and the Shishya is the one who is getting soaked into it and merging and blending and soaking. So the only relationship where there is liberation is that of a Guru and a Shishya. All other relationships have bondages in them. And if you have to realize, reach the state of self-realization, if you have to merge in your Guru, if you have to get even a fraction of Brahmagyan, you have to start slowly freeing yourself from those bondages, from those attachments. You have to understand that everything that makes you feel is mine, is taking all my time and attention, is not yours. It's not going to be yours after some time. The only one that is yours is Him, the one who came with you, the one who is with you, the one who's going to go on this journey with you. There is only one companion, and that is our Baba Sai. So, to sum up what I said today, starting from Narada's story, just trust in your Guru. Don't worry about right, wrong, good, bad. If Baba has chosen to be your Guru, or if Baba has sent somebody to be your Guru, just trust. Just trust, because He knows. I have to read something for all of you before we go. I don't know the time. I've got this on a paper. It's a little heavy, but I have to read this on Guru Purnima for Baba, for you all. This is an excerpt from Paramhansa Yogananda, what he has said about Guru-Shishya relationship, and it is beautiful. I have to read this out. Please hear me out. Focus. During the period of a seeker's philosophical curiosity, so now there is a seeker who is very curious, who wants to know more about life, more about the world. God causes a seemingly chance contact with the percepts of a good book or the counsel of a spiritual teacher. So if there is a student, a seeker on the spiritual path, suddenly you start getting messages, suddenly you will find the right book, suddenly you will find somebody who will teach you and guide you to move further and satiate your hunger and your thirst for spirituality. Paramhansa Yogananda says this is not happening by chance. To the seeker, it looks like it's happening by chance, that you're finding the right people, finding the right situations, finding the right book, finding the right script to read when you're in the seeking journey. It is all being done by God. But the aspirant, if is not satisfied by meager placations from religious treatises or mediocre instructions in his heart, and is corroding with eagerness to find God. So now what happens is the seeker has got right things happening in life, but he's not satisfied. He wants more of God. His thirst is endless. He's not satisfied. He's hungering for more. That okay, things are falling in place. I'm learning through my experiences. I'm learning through what's happening, but I want more of you, God. Then what happens? Then the Father, which is God, sends to his child one who knows God and is empowered to confer that realization on others. That is when God decides to give us a Guru. That is when God decides that okay, this seeker is really wanting to go ahead on this journey of life, let me give him a Guru. Which means you and I have all reached that stage already. We have been seeking, wanting, we've been thirsting for it. Hence we have got this beautiful Guru in our life. Thank you. I love your hearts. So feel blessed, feel happy. And on this Guru Purnima, remember Nanya Charanya Mamaha, the two most beautiful words of my life. Thank you, Lakshmi. Gratitude to you for these two words, because I genuinely can't tell you that today if I live and breathe, I live by these two words, you know. All day I was crying. I told you I was just looking at his feet and crying, looking at his feet and crying and thinking, what have I done to deserve you, Baba? What have I done that I have a place in those feet? Just to touch them also is my blessing. Just that, those feet, I mean, if Baba was alive, I would not leave his feet. I would just hold them and stay there forever, because this is our greatest blessing. These feet. So offer all that you are, all that you have to your Guru as an offering today on this auspicious day. Today is a very, very, very powerful day. Let me tell you why do we celebrate today. It's the first Purnamashi, which means the first full moon after the summer solstice. I don't know if you all know what is the summer solstice. This is the longest day of the year, 21st June. The summer solstice happens that day. The brightest night or the brightest moon, full moon, happens right after the summer solstice, and that is supposed to be a very powerful night. In Hindu religion, there are two powerful nights, the darkest and the brightest. The brightest is Guru Purnima, when the moon is at its brightest and is resplendent, and the darkest is Shivaratri, the new moon day, when it's absolutely dark that night, and that is the high energy night. These are two very high energy nights that we are blessed with. And to understand the spiritual connotation, That moon which is bright in the sky is the moon that is bright in my heart. That is Him. The Guru is resplendent inside on this night and on every other day. So merge into your Guru in this journey of life. If you really want to have a beautiful life, just hold His hand and walk along. And all that you are, all that you have, given to His feet with complete faith and trust. No questions asked. No questions asked. Whatever you're giving me, Baba, is for my good. Nanya Charanyam Mamaha. Yes, I am tired, exhausted, and I hope you have learned what I wanted you to learn. I hope you've liked the stories of the little boy in the barn and you will be more silent and meditate more. It's so beautiful to be in love with your Guru, you know. This day is so special in our life, a day where our Baba chose us to belong to Him, a day when He made us His own, a day which we can celebrate, and every day should be celebrated actually. So I'm in gratitude to each of you, gratitude to Baba. The heart is singing, the soul is dancing. There's just happiness and happiness and happiness. You know, if I don't say this, I will not go back satisfied. I must say this to all of you, you know. I must say to you that why has my journey been so special with Baba? What has been that one very special thing that I have always had? I've told you this on several occasions. Those who know me will know this. There is only one thing that I have for Baba, and that is love. There's nothing else, trust me. Everybody asks me, what have you done to be so close to Baba? Do you do a lot of tapasya? Do you do a lot of dhyan? Do you do a lot of meditation, spiritual practices? But I'll tell you what, we are blessed in the Kali Yuga to have a God who wants nothing of this from us. He doesn't expect you to go and do rituals, long prayers, fastings, nothing. Baba is a very simple God, very simple God. He just wants love. Bas, that is all. Doesn't He say that one little flower offered in my feet is far more than the gold and the wealth and the, you know, all the wealth of the world offered in His feet with pride, vis-a-vis one little rose offered with love, or still better, one cup of tea. Like I say, if you want anything from Baba, प्यार से एक कप चाय बनाओ, बाबा को पिलाओ, and then you see He will give it to you. प्यार से चाय, और भी इम्प्रेस करना है तो केक भी खिलाओ, उनको बहुत अच्छा लगता है. चाय एंड केक एंड पकौड़े सब कुछ खाते हैं. ही इज अ वेरी नॉटी हैप्पी गॉड. तो इनके सामने रोना इज नॉट एन आंसर. बैठ के बाबा के सामने रो रो के बाबा कुछ तो करो, कुछ तो करो, मैं बहुत दुख में हूँ, उसकी जगह एक मस्त वाली चाय बनाओ, मसाला चाय, बाबा को पिलाओ और अपना काम करवाओ. He is a very sweet God. His heart is soft like wax. It melts with your love. It just melts with your love and your tears. If you have to give something to Him, give Him your love. That's the most beautiful thing you have. Most beautiful thing each of us has, and it's not scanty, it's not short, it's overflowing. The only thing we have which overflows is our love for our Baba, for our Guru. Anything else, Baba says, no, in the Satcharita, that my spiritual wealth, take it in cartloads. So take it in cartloads from Baba, as much as you want. Yes, Sai, thank you. Thank you so much. I was happy to be here with all of you. Thank you for those who were praying for me, you know, like, there is always a strength behind you that is supporting you in your difficult times. I am blessed that I have prayers behind me. I didn't know how I'll speak to you today after all my tearful energy morning, but here I am. I've spoken to you, conveyed Baba's message, and I'm feeling blessed and happy, and thank you for the prayers that came my way for this, so I could do this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you all. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I'll wind up now. So from Baba and me at Little Shri, and all of those of you who complain that you don't have pictures of Baba and me, now you have us on your screenshot. You can take as many pictures as you want of Baba and me together. Lots of letters were coming. Why can't we get a picture of Little Shri, Baba and you together? So here we are for you with lots of love. Thank you so much. I love all of you. Thank you. I'm finally winding up now. Let the love keep pouring in. Let the blessings keep pouring in. And no ifs and buts with Baba now. No questions asked. Just love. Just love and just love. Ya Sai. Nanya Charanya Mamaha Baba. Nanya Charanya Mamaha. Ya Sai.
Om Sai.